Today on the Athlete's Mindset, I'm excited to welcome Sam Biller, a talented outfielder who's carved a remarkable path in college baseball and just took a big step forward, signing with the New York Mets organization. Sam's journey began at Cal Poly, continued at Loyola Marymount, and most recently at UConn, where his bat, speed, and resilience stood out in big moments. At UConn in 2025, Sam played 58 games, hit 296 with 13 home runs, 60 RBIs, and swiped 23 bases. Off the field, Sam's mindset is as impressive as it gets. He's known for staying positive, using self-talk to push through injuries, and never losing sight of the process. In this episode, we dig into how he's overcome setbacks, how he approaches self-belief, and what it means to finally reach that next level in baseball. If you're an athlete, coach, or someone chasing growth, this one is worth tuning into. Let's get into it. Sam, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
Thanks, Tristan. Good. I'm happy to be here, man. It's good to see you.
Yes, sir. Happy to have you here. Big news, just signing with the Mets. But before we get into that, I kind of want to talk about your journey just so far. You started at Cal Poly, then transferred to LMU, had a few good years there, and then grad transferred to UConn. What are kind of just some lessons you learned at every step along the way?
I would just say you know, you kind of make the most out of your situation. And I think the whole process really taught me that you really are in control of your destiny and your reality and if you want something to change or you need something to change, like you have the capability to do that. I'm super grateful for all the time that I spent in all three schools. Um, but yeah, no, it was really cool to be able to, make some big life decisions and, see those things kind of pay off and you learn what works for you. You learn what doesn't work for you. And, you learn that you're in control and that you can if something needs to change or if you want something to change, like you have the power to do that for yourself.
Yeah. We were kind of in similar situations when you were at Cal Poly and when I was at Cal State Fullerton. It felt like we both kind of had an idea, like we needed to, switch things up a little bit. Maybe it's not the, right group. We're not getting the right kind of development. And I think that's a tough thing that a lot of athletes go through when it comes to, finally making that decision to transfer. What kind of went into your decision?
Yeah, definitely. One thing I think is that this is something that's so difficult about the college baseball recruiting process is there's just no way to know what is really going to work for you as a 15, 16 year old in high school. You don't know you don't know you have an idea of where you want to go, or I want to go play Division 1 baseball, or I want to play somewhere where I'm going to play. And those are all great goals and great ideas to have, but it doesn't always mean doesn't always mean that you have the full picture, and you're not going to get the full picture until, you step foot on campus, you go to practice, you actually get coached by your coaches. And on paper, Cal Poly was, a great fit for me. It was exactly what I wanted. It was Division 1 baseball. It was great weather. It was somewhere where I was gonna go and be able to compete for a spot immediately and be able to play. And on paper, that was the right spot for me. And everything you know, that I took into account before going, it paid off. Like I went to Cal Poly and you know, I was a true freshman and I played in almost every game the whole year. I started in half the games. It was just, I think, it was COVID. So that was a whole other, situation of just, one other thing that sort of went into that year being difficult. But freshman year is always difficult. So there's that. There was COVID on top of that. There wasn't any social life. I was, you know, on, in all my classes on Zoom. The only thing that I was doing in person was baseball. And I just didn't feel like I was just someone that was so attached to the team environment and being able to have 40 guys around you that they all want to win and they all want, to get themselves better. But, that team culture is something that's super, super important for me. And I think, the culture there works really well for some of the guys. And there's a lot of really successful guys that come out of that program. I think just for me, I didn't feel comfortable being myself in that situation. And I don't know if that was, it was a combination of me being a freshman, which I think it's really hard just that by itself, or COVID, or just it being a big, big transition. But the truth is, like, I didn't really see myself developing to the best of my ability and being as, happy and fulfilled as I could be, if I was going to stay there for 3 more years. So that was kind of like, I just wanted to find somewhere where, like, I felt like culture was,
Mhm.
the biggest component of the program. And I'm super grateful for the time I spent there. I think I got a lot better as a baseball player. I think I learned a lot about myself, and I'm really grateful that I had that experience. I just, it was the right decision for me to leave, and yeah, and ending up at LMU was like the best decision of my life. So I think, like, you know the grass is definitely not always greener on the other side, and you have to be really, think it was a really hard decision to leave, especially, like, a lot of people were like, why would you leave if you're making an impact and you're going to play every day and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And but, I think there's a little bit more to it than that. And like I said, like, the grass isn't always greener, but if you have a feeling in your gut that, like, you're not where you want to be, or you're not going to be the best person or player that you're going to be by staying, then, like, it's you have to trust yourself. But in the same way, like, the portal is can be a disaster, and it can be really hard to navigate. And I happened to do it the first year that the transfer portal became a thing, and so that was a whole other thing. But it ended up being a really good, positive decision for me.
Yeah, I think you said that perfectly, and I think maybe sometimes the issue people run into in the transfer portal is that they're doing it to be greedy. I mean, whether it's with like the NIL or they want to go somewhere bigger, they don't have high enough status. And I think in both of our situations, it was just like I'm really just not like happy. When I was at
Yeah,
Fullerton, I feel like I got done with practice and I was almost kind of miserable, and I was like, I am not having fun. Like I had some great friends around me, so they helped a little bit, but from a baseball standpoint, I was like, this isn't it. And so transferring to Portland was, the best decision that I ever made. And kind of similar to LMU, it seems like when I was at Portland, we just had a great group of guys, and it was always just like positive vibes, and we're all hanging out. And just knowing you and a few other guys at LMU, it seems like that was kind of the same way.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was also like, I was really lucky. I grew up in SoCal, and I was really lucky to be able to, play with guys at LMU that I had been playing with since I was 10 years old. And so, like, that was amazing to be able to, I played with guys when I was 10 that were on that team. I played against a whole bunch of them. Like, there was probably 10, 12 guys on the team that, like, I had known growing up. And so, like, I thought that was a really special thing that I think a lot of people don't get to experience. And on top of that, like, I was able to talk to guys, like, going when I was getting recruited and when I was in the portal, like, I was able to get real feedback from guys that I trusted, which is, like, I think it's a really hard thing to find, especially when you're in the portal. Whoever's offering you and trying to get you to come to their school, they're kind of like schmoozing you and,
They're making it seem like
blowing
it's the
smoke.
best place
Yeah,
ever.
blowing
Yeah.
smoke a little bit. Like, no one's gonna make it seem like it sucks. And so I think it's really important to, have those people that you can trust, or, have somebody that, you know can give you a real picture of, like, what it's gonna be like. Because, like I said, um it's really hard to know what a program is going to be like, until you really, like, step foot on campus and you start actually doing it. And by then, like, the decision's made. Like, you're there for the year no matter what. So,
Yeah.
but no, so that was
100%.
great. Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of like increased or boosted your confidence at LMU? I know you had the big injury your first year there, which we'll get into, but then when you did start playing, you were just balling out, and it seemed like you were a lot more comfortable than your freshman year, which most people are. But what kind of like boosted just yourself at LMU?
Yeah, I mean, I think one big thing is, the best thing about Cal Poly, I would say, was we had a mental performance coach named Jeff Troche, who I pretty much worked with every single week when I was there, and like that was such a blessing. It was really amazing to be able to do that. I think like when I was introduced to him, I was like, wow, like this is such an amazing opportunity to really like hone in on something in the baseball world that like I've never really like worked on before. And everyone says like, you'll read books or you'll talk to coaches and everyone's like, baseball's 90% mental. And then it's like, okay, well, seems like pretty much 100% of what I'm practicing is physical. And obviously you need to get in the cage and you need to grind, you need to lift, you need to do all those things. Like those things are super, super important. And like I'm a proponent of those things. But what I really started to dig into with Troche was, you know, how to think and, what like what are how I can put myself in the best position to get the most out of myself as a player and as a person, and like really honing in on like the mental game. And I think a couple big things, but I think you were actually sort of part of that transition for me because we played summer ball together. For the Waterloo Bucks, and that was my first experience playing summer ball. And it's something that like, summer ball is just something that you can't really like explain or put into words. It's just so ridiculous. Like everything
Yeah.
about it is ridiculous, especially in the Northwoods. I mean, like 70 something games in 60 days and just like 8-hour bus rides and with a whole bunch of, you know, just
Guys you've never met before. Yeah.
guys you never met before, but guys that are just like, we're all there. No one's in school. You're just playing baseball and everyone's an idiot. Like we're all
Yeah.
idiots and it's the best thing ever. But I think, working with Troche, understanding like how much self-talk and you're constantly in a conversation with yourself. And like the more, you know, you're so influenced by everything that you say to yourself. I mean, and so the more that I was able to recognize that and really understand that like confidence is a skill and it's something that you can work on, and like be believing in yourself and having confidence in your ability to get the job done is really something that like you can work on. And like I was always one thing that I worked like talked with him about all the time was like, and I remember talking to you about this when I was a sophomore and we were both there. But it's like, you know, I had already had some success at a high level, like at my freshman year. I didn't have like the craziest year, but like as a freshman, it was a good year. And one thing that like I think gave me a lot of confidence that year and also in summer ball was just like I've seen myself succeed against the highest talent. Like, I um when we played Fullerton, like, your Friday guys, it was a big leaguer. And like
Yeah.
I got 2 hits off of him. And it was like, you know, and a lot of guys might write that off for themselves and say, "Oh yeah, like, I did well against that guy, but like that doesn't mean I'm the best, or that doesn't mean anything. I might have gotten lucky or whatever." But like in my opinion, like excuse my French, like that's bullshit. Like
Yeah.
you you succeeded against the highest talent. It doesn't matter if it was once, it doesn't matter if it was 100 times, because what that means is like you did it once. So like your ability is your ability. Like your
Mhm.
capability is your capability. So like if you did it once, you're always capable of doing that. And I took that into summer ball, really like learned from what Trosh was talking to me about. And I went into summer ball where like, you're not under a microscope. You don't have coaches that are looking at you all the time. You're not trying to earn a spot. Like you're going to play and get better. And for me, it was like, I'm gonna go and drag my nuts in the box and like
Mhm.
be like like have great body language and have that attitude that like I know I'm capable of succeeding against anyone that's on the mound, and I know I'm capable of making plays that nobody else can make. Like I've seen myself do those things, and I think that kind of was what carried over into LMU and like into the rest of my career was just like I know what I know what I'm capable of. And every time that I've had like every time you have success against in any situation, it's just like another piece of evidence that like you are who you say you are and you are you are that person. And like it's all just how you decide to frame it to yourself, decide to speak to yourself, and like you are how you behave. So like I'm just if I want to be an elite baseball player, I want to be a professional baseball player. Okay, so like I'm just going to behave like that. I'm going to do what an elite baseball player would do. I've seen the results happen. I know I'm capable of those things, and I think like that was something that really went a long way and like allowed me to really like free myself up in that following year and just like up until now and like still in my career. So
Yeah, no, I think you said that absolutely perfectly. Because I mean, I was a guy in kind of a similar position where even if I did have a little bit of success, I would almost like tell myself like, wow, I got lucky there. Like I just hit like a 95-mile-an-hour fastball back up the middle. Like how'd that happen? Instead of trusting like, all right, I put in the work for this to happen. And I think so many times I also had like a negative thought in my head, like obviously like don't strike out, don't strike out. Almost like, so if it did happen, I set myself up for disappointment. So I was ready instead of like going into it like, all right, if all I'm thinking about here is getting a barrel and it doesn't happen, so be it. I'll give myself grace. We'll go at it the next time. But if all my thoughts are negative, how can I expect a positive outcome? And I think, I mean, similar, it wasn't until I got to Portland that I really recognized that and was like, I'm not going to have any success if I'm so harsh on myself. And I think you were a guy that kind of taught me that, early into our career. And you were always like, all right, like, if you're always this negative with yourself, nothing good is going to come out of it. So I really appreciate that.
no, yeah, absolutely. Actually, I mean, I remember I think we were in St. Cloud, like in Minnesota, but I remember having a conversation with you where it was actually about that. It was like one big thing that I learned through Trosh and like whatever is like using negative statements is like basically the most detrimental thing that you can possibly do. Like your brain can't register the difference between like a do not statement and like a do statement. So
Mhm.
like if you're telling yourself, don't strike out or don't chase the curveball in the dirt, like there's a 50% chance that your brain is registering to do that exact thing.
Yeah.
And so like it's not only that like what you're saying is absolutely true, which is like you're setting yourself up for failure, like you already have that negativity in your brain, but like there's just like the physiological side of it too, where it's like you're actually programming yourself to do the exact thing that like you're telling yourself not to do. So like
Mhm.
for me, like that was really helpful in like creating an approach when I'm hitting and like instead of maybe like if I chased a curveball in the dirt, like instead of saying to myself, don't chase curveball in the dirt, it's like I'm gonna crush something that's up in the zone. And
Mhm.
like something little like that, like there's no way for your brain to, like miscommunicate that, or there's no way for you to
Yeah.
miscommunicate that to yourself because you're telling yourself what you want to do. The result might not happen, but like you're leaving no stone unturned in the sense that like you are telling yourself what you want to do. So there's no chance for your brain to like misunderstand what you're saying to yourself.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that really flipped a switch for me is I saw a quote and it was just the fear of something going wrong isn't going to make it go right. And so I think for the longest time, I always thought about like, how can I avoid the bad things? How can I avoid the strikeouts or, the chasing a curveball in dirt? And I was like, me worrying about this isn't going to make it go right. And so almost it was like, if I just continue to be positive with myself, because a positive outlook is going to lead to a positive outcome way more than, me being negative. So, yeah, I mean, you were one that kind of brought that up. And I think throughout my career, I think everyone throughout their career gets a lot better at kind of understanding themselves and realizing, like this negativity is going to get me absolutely nowhere.
For sure. And like the people that don't learn that, like they have a really hard time. Like and
Hmm.
it's really hard to like continuously get better. When you get to Division 1 baseball or you get to pro ball, like the everyone's talented. Like everybody has the talent. Everybody has for the most I mean, some guys don't work hard, but everybody's worked hard. Like the things that really are going to separate you on the field and like your results is like how you're able to deal with this and like have that ability to like you said, have a positive mindset, or, just be able to work through that failure in a way where you're not just, constantly beating yourself up. I think like that's something that's super important, and um can really set you apart. Maybe, someone might be more talented than you but doesn't have that ability. Like 9 times out of 10, like you're gonna pass that guy that might be more skilled than you but doesn't understand in that.
Yeah, 100%. I want to transition a little bit now into kind of your injuries. Going from Cal Poly, you end up at LMU and you have the back problem and just things kind of just built up. How did you kind of stay positive throughout that time when you're recovering from injury and you're at a new place and there's just kind of a lot going on? How did you handle that?
I mean, the short answer is like I didn't always stay positive about it.
Yeah.
I think it was pretty heartbreaking. Just like I had a really difficult time the year before, just like finding my place, and feel like you said, like a lot of the time it felt like a chore to go to the field because I didn't, I don't know, I didn't feel, and it was something that I hadn't experienced before because I love baseball. But I made that great decision of coming to LMU. I had these amazing teammates, and like really felt like I had put myself in the right position to like be successful. And I think the season started and I was reaping the benefits of that. And I was super happy. And speaking of not verbalizing like negative things, I remember saying to my dad, like, like this place is so awesome. Like I'm so happy. Like it feels like something's bound to like go wrong because everything's been great since I've been
Yeah.
here. And like obviously that probably had nothing to do with my injury, but it's something that I think about often. It's like it's just funny. And like a couple weeks later, um, our opening weekend is when I like initially heard it, and then played a couple more weeks, and then was like, found out I had like some swelling in my spine or whatever, and um I had to like shut it down for the rest of the season. And that was just really hard for me because like I felt like I was hitting my stride. I felt like I was really locked in mentally and like had a really good blueprint of like what was helping me in the box, and like helping me feel confident and feel like I'm the man, like when I'm playing, and that's a big thing. And then sort of getting that taken away was really difficult. And I think like for me, the most important thing for me was to like stay busy and stay on a routine. Like I'm somebody that I find myself feeling a lot more fulfilled when I'm like on a routine, and like I say I'm gonna do something and I do it. And like you hear about people stacking days, and like I think that was a big mindset thing throughout my injury. Was like I remember feeling like, okay, like, so what does this rehab look like? Okay, I can't do a lot for a little while, and then it's like I got to do PT all the time for months and months and months. And I was like, all right, like I'm gonna like dominate my PT. Like I can't really work out, I can't play baseball. Like this sucks. Like I was definitely, depressed. I was really sad that I wasn't able to keep playing. But it was like, okay, like one thing that Troch taught me at Cal Poly was like the best thing that you can do for yourself is like no matter what happens, whether it's baseball, life, it's like what is the next thing that I can do? Like what is just the one next thing that I can do to put myself in the best position? Because planning out months in advance, or wondering where you're going to be in a few months, like it's really hard to stay in a good headspace when everything's so up in the air. You don't know how your recovery is going to be. You don't know if you're going to come back the same. So like for me, it was like, all right, what can I do right now? I can, I have PT today. I have X, Y, and Z exercises, whatever. Like I'm going to dominate this. Like I'm going to do it better than anyone else doing this type of PT. And it was really hard. Like physically, like it was difficult because I wasn't I was hurting and whatever. But it was just really hard to like stay in that mentality, and I didn't always stay in that mentality. I would be lying to you if I said I did. um but I did, and I dominated my PT, and I did really well. And then right when I got clear from my back injury, 2 weeks later I found out I tore my labrum in my hip and I had to get hip surgery. And like that, I mean, that was just a dagger. Like all I wanted to do was get back on the field. And then, going through that, it was heartbreaking and crushing and, everything that you would think it would be, but it was the same process. And it was the same thing. I was like, I'm gonna dominate this PT. I'm gonna get this surgery, get this fixed, and then like it's a race now because my season started in 4 months, and I basically like bullied my surgeon into clearing me early to
Yeah.
like be able to play because I was like, I already used my medical red shirt. Like I'm not gonna miss more baseball.
Hmm.
But what I do think like really I got out of that experience was just like a crazy amount of perspective and like gratitude to just like be able to show up to the field every day and like feel good, like feel like physically like I can perform the tasks that I need to perform to be a baseball player. And like that took a lot longer. Like I was cleared for that year, but I was in pain that whole year. Like it was 0 to 100. Hadn't really been lifting. I was 160 pounds because I hadn't lifted or anything. And it was a tough year, but like I had so much perspective. I was just like happy to be doing the thing that I was doing. Taught me how to really take care of my body. It taught me you're not invincible. And like, I was a big weight room guy and but like didn't really take care of my body properly,
Huh.
and it taught me how to do that. So I definitely got a lot out of it, but it was a difficult experience, and but like I think I wouldn't have been able to play a fifth year at UConn if that didn't happen, and maybe I wouldn't have signed. Maybe there's so many other things that may not have happened. So I am grateful for that experience, even though as crappy as it was, like it definitely helped give me some perspective, helped shape me as a baseball player, and like have a lot of gratitude just to be on the field, be feeling good, be able to swing a bat and run around the bases kind of thing.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think perspective is a perfect word because, I mean, when we're healthy, we want all these things. And then when we have a cold or we're sick, all we want is to be healthy. And when we're healthy, we're not even appreciative of it. So, like, I can't imagine what you went through is when you do finally you end up where you're happy and you just lose kind of all that. You lose what you came there to do, which is play baseball. And I just can't, like, I know how hard, like, that is on other athletes and then how hard it was on you. But then you bounce back and you absolutely ball out at LMU. And then you use that medical red shirt and grad transfer across the country to UConn. Before we talk about your performance there, was it tough, like going all the way across the country, being a SoCal kid, ending up in Connecticut?
Yeah, I mean it was tough. Like I think it was for me, like I didn't really care where I ended up because like geographically, just because it was like in the back of your mind, it's like it is only 1 year. Like I have 1 year of eligibility left. So like there's not a chance for like that I'm staying there. Or there's not a chance
Yeah.
I'm not going somewhere for 4 years. So it was like,
Mhm.
I'm gonna go and work my hardest to be the best baseball player that I can be and like put myself in the best position. So for me, I was like just trying to find the right fit for me in that sense. It was difficult. It was also exciting because I have a lot of family in New England. So that was cool to be able to like be around them and have them be able to come see me. But it was it was hard. Like I had transferred before, but it was obviously close to my hometown. I knew guys on the team versus like going to UConn. I didn't know a single guy. So yeah, it was hard, but I think it's a little bit easier to transfer as a grad transfer because like you're just older and like you
Mhm.
have a little bit more like built-in respect from the guys around you because like they know that you've been through the grind and like
Yeah.
you've done the work, you've had whatever success, and so like it was a little bit easy. The guys were great, so like um but yeah, I mean it was difficult. It was hard. There was like days early on where I was like, shit, I hope I made the right decision because like I'm really far away from home and like there isn't really I'm here now. So but no, yeah, it was hard, but it was exciting as well.
If you're an athlete, you know the little things make the biggest difference. That's why I trust Momentous for my daily performance and recovery. Their vital aminos help with muscle repair and energy, while their creatine packs are perfect for building strength and consistency without any of the guesswork. Whether you're in the gym, on the field, or chasing your personal goals, Momentous supplements keep you fueled to perform your best. If you want to take your training and recovery to the next level, check them out at Momentous.com and use the code Athletesmindset for 15% off. That's Athletesmindset for 15% off at checkout. Yeah. I mean, you're there and you hit a career high 13 home runs that season. What do you think kind of transitioned or, do you attribute to your success at UConn?
I mean, to be honest, it was a really interesting year. I had a really good fall, a really good winter. Like my body was in really good shape. I had a lot of expectation for myself. Obviously, I love the game. I wanted to be able to play professionally. Big reason why I went to UConn is because they win a lot.
Mhm.
And I wanted to be a part of a winning program and all that stuff. But I had a lot of expectation for myself. My coach had a lot of expectation for me, and I had a really difficult first half of the year. I did not play well. I had some good games. I had some good moments. But I had a really tough first half of the year, and just wasn't playing well. Wasn't hitting the ball hard. Wasn't having good at bats. And a lot of it was just like it's just so it's baseball is just so mental. Like so
Mhm.
much of it was just the pressure that I was putting on myself because I had expectation for myself. Like I said, my coaches had expectation for me. And I wasn't living up to that. And like there was a period of time where like I wasn't starting anymore. Like there was a few games where I wasn't starting, and I wasn't resentful. Like I wasn't upset at my coaches or like, F you guys for not playing me. Like I didn't deserve to be in the lineup. Like UConn's a really good team. Everyone on the team's super talented, and like I didn't deserve to be playing in those games. And there was a point like halfway through the season where I was like, I basically had to. I remember we played BC. I didn't start. I got put in for a pinch hit at bat. I struck out against a lefty, and like I got home and I got super emotional, and I just remember like I feeling like I gotta really like let go of getting drafted and like signing, because I was like I had every amount of confidence that like I was gonna get out of that rut, but like I was just being objective, and I was like, look, like I know I'm capable, I know I have the skill, whatever, but like the numbers aren't there. Like
Mhm.
I was hitting 220, I had 3 or 4 home runs or something, and I was just like, I I'm gonna kick myself if I look back at this time and like realize that like I wasn't having any fun because I was so worried about what the future held and like getting drafted or signing or whatever. And I was like, I want to just like enjoy this. Like if this is my
Mhm.
last time playing baseball, like I want to. I had no regrets up to that point. I worked my butt off. Like I did everything right, and I was like, I just want to enjoy this. Like be the best teammate I can be. Continue to have a good attitude. Like be somebody that my teammates can count on. And I was like, I'm just gonna enjoy this. I had a conversation with my dad where I was like, I gotta let go of this. Like I was like, it's just like objectively, like it's really just unlikely. And I talked to my coach, and like Coach Penders, our head coach, was awesome, and like he stuck with me, and it was just funny. Like as soon as that happened, like I turned a corner, and like my second half of the year was like, it was a complete 180. And it's so crazy because like obviously I ended up having the numbers to be able to
Yeah.
like do it, but like that was literally a byproduct of me being like just like the
Not
effort,
caring
like
about it so much. Yeah.
yeah, not caring about it so much, like and just being like, I'm just gonna enjoy this. Like I don't want to take any of this for granted. Um and it turned into just like me playing how I knew I could play.
Yeah.
So I would attribute it to that. It was a crazy, crazy 180, but like I wasn't surprised when it happened. I was just like it was so ridiculous. It was just like it's just like funny to me that like that's how baseball works, and it's just like
Yeah, the
baseball
more
doesn't
you
baseball doesn't care about how much effort you put in. Like baseball
yeah,
doesn't care about how much you care. Like it doesn't. Like it's a game of failure, and you're gonna fail whether you work your butt off or whether you're lazy as hell. Like it doesn't matter. Like everyone's gonna fail, and you're gonna fail a lot. And so it was just a obviously I learned a lot about the game and about myself in that. But I would attribute it to just like having that change in mentality.
yeah. I mean, I always, it's funny because I had actually a bracelet that just said don't try because I feel like when you try too hard or I always like try to do too much, it never worked out. And I was like, I would just look at it and be like, all right, don't try. Like, just let it happen. You've put in the work. And if I make contact, if I barrel the ball, I have zero control over it at that point. And so it was just like, don't try, which I feel like a lot of baseball players, the more you play, the more you kind of understand that. So now we got to talk about the New York Mets. You're training all summer. You're also traveling the world, and then as of late, you get signed as a free agent by the Mets organization. How did that come about, and how different has professional baseball been to college baseball?
Yeah, I mean, I had a very like unprecedented like path into professional baseball. I didn't really have a lot of because of that first half of my like the first half of the year. Like I think a lot of the scouts kind of wrote me off and like kind of stopped following me. You know, I had some interest before the season and then didn't really hear much. But I met with I met with the Mets area scout like before the season started, and from what I could tell, like it went well, like the conversation went well. And like he just continued to follow me throughout the year, and like he was the one, pretty much the one scout that really like kept in contact and
Mm.
like was talking to me and my agent, you know, prior to the drafts. Like you know, they were my best chance of getting drafted, you know, like in those like rounds 8 to 10 where they do a lot of senior signs for, you know, a lot of like underslot, like just so
Yeah.
that you can save money for the later rounds. Um, so that was a possibility for them, and I was really, you know, really hopeful, but also like knew that there was a like a big chance that that wouldn't happen. They were talking to us leading up to those rounds, and it just like didn't end up happening. So my next chance was like, all right, maybe like right at the end of the draft. Didn't happen. Um, so that was difficult. Like I was really, you know, sad that that didn't happen. But I was also like, uh, for me before the draft, I was like, I'm pretty sure my best chance of getting signed would be after the draft, just because like with the draft getting cut down in half and me being a senior, I just knew like there would be hopefully more opportunity after the draft. And the Mets only drafted two outfielders, so like right after the draft ended, I texted the area scout and I was like, "Yo, like I'm here. Like if you guys need outfielders, like I'm just looking for an opportunity."
Mhm.
And you know, he was awesome. Like he was like, "We'll keep in touch." I know like it's sort of a confusing thing, but like the area scouts are kind of like your homies. Like the area scouts are really like pushing for you because
Mhm.
they want their guys to get drafted.
Yeah.
It's just not really in their control. Couple days went by. He gave me and my agent a call and was like, sorry, but like all the spots are filled. All of our signs are filled, and so that was really hard. I was going through some like personal stuff at the same time. It was just like a lot to sort of deal with, to come to terms with. I wanted to go play indie ball. My agent was like, "Don't like hold off on that because if you go play indie ball, you're still signing a pro contract, and if something happens to the pro team, they have to buy out your contract. And if it's between you know someone that they don't have to buy out and you, like they're just going to take the other person because like that's how it works when you know
Mhm.
you're a free agent sign." So he convinced me not to do that. The trade deadline came. Um, Sometimes stuff happens then because if they trade away someone and they need an outfielder, like, and so we reached out to all the teams again. radio silence, nothing. And so like at that point, we pretty much gave up on anything happening for this year. And I, I was still training. Like my plan was to go play indie ball next year and try to sign through that. My agent was going to get me some workouts with some big league teams in the spring, hopefully. But yeah, like w- I kind of just my sights had been set on like, all right, I'm gonna work to go sign the indie ball team and do it that way. And I was like finding it really hard to hit. Like I was just kind of sad. Like I wanted to be playing pro ball and like
Yeah.
wanted to be doing that. And so it was like really hard for me to like just be on top of it as I always have. And like on August, I think it was August 22nd, which there's like 2.5 weeks left in the minor league season. I got a call from the area scout. I pulled into my high school where I live, and I got a call from him, and I was confused, but I was like also like got my hopes up. And he called me and he was like, "Hey man, like just calling to see how you're doing. Like um, you know, they're just having us reach out to like any guys that would potentially sign if like something crazy happened. And like just wanted to see how your training is going." And I was like, I'm here, like I'm training, I'm training every day, I'm hitting every day, whatever. Like I'm just looking for an opportunity. He was like, I know, man, like I really hope something happens for you. Like I'll let you know if I hear anything. And like that was the conversation. And he hung up and I was like, what the hell? Like
Yeah.
why would he call me, get my hopes up like that, for nothing? And I remember like I walked into my weight room, I saw like one of my old baseball coaches. I was like, yeah, the Mets just called me. It's just the same stuff over and over again. Like, and then 10 minutes later, I got a call from the same guy, and he was like, "Oh, like sorry to have been coy, man. Like doing a sign." And I was like, "Holy shit!" Like, I guess he was just calling me to like make sure that I was on top of my shit and like
Yeah.
training and before he like confirmed it with the front office. But yeah, it was crazy. It was like obviously a dream come true, but like I couldn't believe it. So
Dude, that's so
yeah,
cool. That's so
yeah.
sweet. You were just there for a little bit. Real quick, just what were kind of the differences you noticed from pro ball to college baseball?
Um, I mean, I think one big difference is just like obviously, I mean, the obvious difference is just like it's a much less, I wouldn't say team oriented, but it's like everyone that's there is there to develop, to
Yeah.
try to become a big leaguer. And so like winning obviously matters, and like being able to be a winner and like train to win and whatever, like that's all still super important, but it's definitely more individual. You gotta take care of your own stuff and know what's right for you and all that stuff. I would say, um, you know, another difference is just like you're not in school, and so like you get
It's
to
your
that's
job.
what you
Yeah.
yeah, it's your job, and like which is for me like which is awesome. Like I love that. But that's a big difference, and like it's special. I think like you 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 work so hard to like make that your reality, and so for me like I was just trying to like enjoy it and like really like take that in of like I'm a professional baseball player, like I'm getting paid to do this, um which is what I've dreamed about since I was
You've
like 3
dreamed
years
out.
old.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that yeah that I mean those are the big differences, but it was awesome. They treat us
Yeah.
well, and yeah.
Dude, it's so cool. I'm so happy for you. And I mean, like you said, you've put in so much work and gone through so much, and you finally made it, and it's so deserved and just earned, more than
Thank
deserved.
you.
But I end every conversation with the same question and just ask if you could go back and tell your younger self, your high school self, one thing about the mental side of the game, what would it be?
I think if I was talking to my high school self, I'd say it's not that deep, calm down. Um, I think that, like, it would've really benefited me when I was younger to I worked so hard, and I don't regret any of it. Like, I think that putting in that work was so important, But I think on the mental side, it's like you put in all this work, you work your butt off, you work harder than anyone else. Like, you know, you put yourself in a position to, be a D1 baseball player, whatever it may be, whatever your goals are. Like you put in all that work and you work so, so, so hard. Like when you get between those lines and like you're playing, like the work is done. Like now you're doing the thing that you love. Like now you're playing. Like you've done all the preparation. All that other stuff is going to take care of itself. Like when you get in between those lines, like it's that, yeah, it's like it's I mean it's like you said, it's like the don't try thing. Like
Mhm.
you've tried so hard before the game in preparation for the game. Like now just go enjoy and like
Just
be
go do it.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, be yourself, go for it. Like don't let anyone else, don't let any coach make you, timid, make you feel like, oh, like I gotta get this done, blah blah blah. Like you put in that work for you, like you owe it to yourself to go and play. And I think that's something I would have told myself when I was younger, but that's something I still continue to tell myself. So
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the times the advice that we needed, you know, 3, 4 years ago is still the advice we need today. But Sam, I appreciate you for taking the time to come on. I'm super happy for you and all that you've done. And I'm excited to just see where this journey goes for you.
thank you, dude. I appreciate you having me.
Yes, sir. See you, Sam. Thank you again to Sam for sharing his journey and insight into the mental side of the game. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who would find it valuable. Thanks for tuning in and keep moving forward. Until next time.